Have you ever pondered the profound impact of simply disappearing from someone's life, not in the gradual fade of waning contact, but in the abrupt, complete severance of all communication? It's a concept that challenges the modern tendency to take others for granted, a bold experiment in flipping the script and witnessing the reverberations of absence. Imagine a scenario where you become a ghost, a phantom limb in the life of someone who had grown accustomed to your unwavering presence. No texts flicker on their screen, no calls break the silence, no digital breadcrumbs lead back to you. What raw, unfiltered emotions would surface in the void you leave behind? In a world saturated with fleeting connections and disposable relationships, this act of vanishing becomes a potent statement, a stark reminder of the value often overlooked until it's irretrievably lost. This exploration isn't about manipulation or revenge, it's about self-respect, about reclaiming your worth in situations where you've been relegated to the role of an option. It's a journey into the complex psychology of attachment, expectation, and the painful realization of loss. Prepare to delve into the intricate emotional tapestry that unfolds when you choose to prioritize your well-being and step away from a dynamic that no longer serves you. This isn't just about making someone miss you, it's about understanding the inherent power you possess to shape your own narrative and to command the respect you deserve. The modern dating scene, with its endless swiping and superficial interactions, often fosters a sense of disposability. People flit from one connection to another, rarely pausing to appreciate the depth and value of genuine relationships. In this context, disappearing can be a radical act of self-preservation, a way to jolt someone out of their complacency and force them to confront the consequences of their actions. It's a gamble, certainly, but one that can yield profound results, both for you and for the person you leave behind. The following delves into the multi-layered emotional odyssey experienced by someone when you abruptly vanish from their existence, exploring the nuances of their reaction with a blend of psychological insight and practical advice. These stages are not necessarily linear, they may overlap, fluctuate, and intensify depending on the individual and the specific dynamics of the relationship. However, they provide a framework for understanding the profound impact your absence can have. First, consider the sting of rejection. This is the initial shockwave, the unexpected blow that shatters their assumptions. They never truly anticipated your departure, clinging to the belief that you would always be a constant in their life. You were the reliable one, the individual who consistently invested effort, meticulously crafted plans, and offered unwavering support. You were the person they could invariably depend upon, until, suddenly, you weren't. Your disappearance is akin to a physical jolt, a rude awakening that shatters their sense of control. The age-old adage, "You never know what you have until it's gone," resonates deeply in this moment. It's not merely your physical absence that they grapple with, it's the void created by the removal of everything you represented, the comfort, the validation, the unwavering availability they had grown accustomed to. This rejection cuts deeper than the surface, it's a profound, personal wound because, for the first time, they confront the realization that they do not possess absolute control over you. Human nature dictates that when individuals are confident in someone's perpetual presence, they often begin to treat them as a safety net, a fallback option rather than a priority. Your vanishing act abruptly snatches away that safety net, plunging them into a state of panic. It's akin to free falling, a terrifying sensation of losing their footing. They had erroneously believed they could take you for granted, and now they are left reeling, grappling with the question of how they allowed this to happen, how they relinquished control. The sting of rejection is particularly acute when you have consistently demonstrated emotional availability. They may have perceived your love and presence as an entitlement, assuming you would remain steadfast regardless of their actions. They may have even deluded themselves into believing they were doing you a favor by keeping you within their orbit. The irony lies in the fact that while they may have perceived themselves as offering mere crumbs, you were, in reality, the linchpin holding the relationship together. To effectively inflict this sting of rejection, it's crucial to avoid providing any advance warning. Refrain from issuing ultimatums, avoid pleading for their attention, and, above all, resist the urge to announce your departure. Instead, embrace the art of ghosting. Disappearing without explanation amplifies the impact, as they are left utterly blindsided. This forces them to engage in introspection, prompting them to confront their actions and understand the gravity of their disrespect. When you choose to walk away, resist the temptation to look back. Allow them to fully experience the sting of rejection, and trust that it will resonate with them in ways they never anticipated. The individual they believed they held dominion over, the one who consistently remained by their side regardless of the circumstances, has simply vanished from their life, leaving them to grapple with the consequences. Reflect upon the times you felt your emotions were dismissed, your aspirations marginalized. The absence of these elements will be felt, magnified by the silence of your departure. Imagine the internal turmoil as they grapple with the sudden quiet, a stark contrast to the vibrancy you brought. The silence is not merely an absence of sound, it's a resounding echo of your worth. It's a poignant reminder of the contributions they failed to acknowledge. Following the initial shock of rejection, the next stage involves grappling with the void of missing you. Ironically, they may have convinced themselves that your absence would be inconsequential, perhaps even believing they would effortlessly move on. Oh, if they leave, I'll simply find someone else, they might have thought. However, the reality of your disappearance triggers a profound sense of emptiness, a void that gnaws at their core. As they navigate their daily routines, engaging in the same activities they always have, a palpable sense of something missing permeates their existence. This is the dawning realization that you were the one who infused meaning into their life. You brought the energy, the warmth, the emotional stability that enriched their experiences. Now, devoid of your presence, everything feels bland and lackluster. When someone takes you for granted, they often perceive you as merely a part of the background, an interchangeable element in their life. They assume that the dynamic you shared is easily replaceable. However, the truth is that no one else can replicate the unique essence you brought to their life. They may attempt to fill the void with someone new, but the substitutions invariably fall short. You contributed a unique energy, one that made their life easier, more enjoyable, and more fulfilling. The void expands with each passing day, a constant reminder of what they have lost. They may seek solace in distractions, attempting to immerse themselves in new relationships, friendships, or hobbies. However, the void persists, a persistent presence that undermines their efforts to move on. They never anticipated feeling this way about you, a realization that adds another layer of complexity to their emotional turmoil. The irony is that they failed to appreciate you when you were present. They may have harbored the belief that they could find someone better, or perhaps they simply assumed you would always remain within their reach. However, the moment you depart, everything undergoes a dramatic transformation. They begin to yearn for the seemingly insignificant aspects of your presence, the shared conversations, the spontaneous laughter, the feeling of being understood and validated. It's the accumulation of these small, everyday moments that they now desperately crave, but you are no longer there to provide them. To ensure the depth of this void, it's imperative to create an environment where they have no means of accessing you. Block them on social media platforms, delete their number from your contacts, and make it impossible for them to casually monitor your life. The more they realize they cannot reach you, the deeper the void will become. Each time they think of you and attempt to connect, only to encounter a digital wall, the void will expand. Allow them to languish in that emptiness, and remind yourself that people often fail to appreciate what they possess until it is gone. Let them miss you, let them feel the absence of your presence. The more intensely they experience that void, the more profoundly they will understand the value you brought to their life. Reflect upon the sacrifices you may have made, the boundaries you allowed to be crossed. The emptiness they feel is a direct reflection of the selflessness you displayed. It is a mirror reflecting their lack of appreciation, a testament to the imbalance in the relationship. Let them confront this reality. As the void deepens, it inevitably gives rise to overwhelming curiosity. Consumed by the emptiness of your absence, they enter a state of near desperation. The burning question that dominates their thoughts is, where are they? What are they doing? Who are they with? They become consumed with the desire to know what is transpiring in your life, fueled by the fact that they no longer have access to you. You have transformed into an enigma, and nothing is more unsettling than being kept in the dark about someone who was once so intimately connected to you. In the age of ubiquitous social media, this stage is amplified. They will meticulously scrutinize your Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and any other platform you utilize, desperately seeking a glimpse into your current activities. However, here's the crucial element: you provide them with absolutely nothing. You have gone completely dark, offering no updates, no stories, no posts. This lack of information drives them to the brink of insanity. Human beings inherently despise the unknown. The moment you vanish, their minds begin to conjure a myriad of possibilities, spiraling into a vortex of speculation. This is the point where their insecurities surface. They begin to question whether you have moved on, whether you are seeing someone else, whether you are genuinely better off without them. They are unable to cope with the lack of information, and they become fixated on uncovering answers. They may even resort to contacting mutual friends, subtly attempting to extract information about you while masking their concern. They will pose casual inquiries, careful to avoid revealing the depth of their curiosity. It's a pitiable sight, someone who once believed they didn't need you now going to great lengths to ascertain your whereabouts and activities. Curiosity is a potent emotion, and when someone is denied the answers they crave, their mind fills in the gaps, often conjuring scenarios that are far more unsettling than reality. They begin to imagine you with someone else, picturing you happier, more fulfilled, and thriving in your newfound independence. These mental images gnaw at them, fueling their anxiety and exacerbating their sense of loss. What begins as simple curiosity morphs into an all-consuming obsession. The less they know, the more they desire to know. You become the one thing they cannot cease thinking about. To effectively fuel their curiosity, it is essential to maintain your ghost-like presence. Completely disconnect from their world, refrain from posting anything that could offer clues about your life. Allow them to wonder, to stew in their own thoughts, and to grapple with the mystery of your disappearance. Every time they reach for their phone to check on you, only to find nothing, it will drive them further towards the edge. You now hold the power, and their insatiable curiosity becomes your greatest asset. Refrain from providing them with answers, instead, offer them silence. Let their imagination run wild, conjuring scenarios far more compelling than reality. This enforced ignorance will amplify their anxieties and deepen their regret. It's about cultivating an aura of mystery, a sense that your life is continuing without them, perhaps even flourishing. It's about making them question their assumptions and confront the possibility that they have irrevocably lost something precious. As their curiosity simmers and stews, the inevitable stage of deep self-reflection emerges. This is a precarious phase for them, a point where they are compelled to confront uncomfortable truths about their own behavior. After days, or even weeks, of agonizing over your whereabouts and activities, their attention finally shifts inward. They begin to pose difficult questions to themselves: was I too distant? Was I too cold? Did I push them away? Did I make a mistake? Regret begins to creep in, a bitter pill to swallow. Human nature often resists admitting fault. However, your disappearance forces them to confront their shortcomings head-on. Without your presence to offer reassurance or smooth over conflicts, they are left to grapple with their own actions and decisions. This is not an enjoyable experience. They begin to replay past interactions in their mind, scrutinizing their words and actions, and questioning whether they could have acted differently. They recall instances where they ignored your texts, dismissed your feelings, or made you feel like an afterthought. These memories hit them with full force because, deep down, they recognize that they had a valuable connection but failed to appreciate it. They are now left alone with their thoughts, and those thoughts are often brutal in their honesty. This stage is particularly powerful because it is entirely internal. They can no longer deflect blame onto you, as you are not present to argue with or to offer excuses for them. The only person they can hold accountable is themselves, a realization that is difficult to accept. As time passes, the self-reflection intensifies, and the more they examine their actions, the more acutely they realize the extent of their mistakes. Guilt builds, and they begin to yearn for the opportunity to rewind time and make different choices. However, it is now too late. During this crucial stage, it is imperative that you refrain from reaching out. Resist the urge to explain your reasons for leaving or to enlighten them about the error of their ways. Allow them to arrive at these conclusions independently. Self-reflection is most effective when it is a solitary process. The more time they dedicate to introspection, the more fully they will grasp the fact that they were the architects of their own downfall. Allow them to grapple with that guilt. It is a valuable lesson that they desperately need to learn. Reflect upon the times you were dismissed, your concerns minimized. The weight of their actions will begin to dawn on them. They will recall the subtle cues they ignored, the heartfelt gestures they dismissed. This internal reckoning is a necessary step toward genuine understanding. It is a crucible where they confront the consequences of their choices and begin to forge a path toward remorse. Let this process unfold organically, without interference. As the weight of self-reflection settles, a significant shift occurs within them. They transition from questioning their own actions to actively desiring your return. The tables have turned completely. You were once the pursuer, the one who invested the most effort, the one who demonstrably cared. Now, the roles are reversed. The urge to pursue you becomes overwhelming. They find themselves unable to cease thinking about you, unable to resist the urge to reach out, and haunted by the question of whether it is too late to salvage the relationship. They may begin sending seemingly innocuous, thinking of you, texts, or they may attempt to gauge your interest by liking older posts on your social media profiles. They might even leave comments, hoping to elicit a response. As the hours turn to days, expect a late-night message, fueled by alcohol and regret, as they attempt to rekindle the flame of what was lost. The key here is to understand that they are now actively chasing you. They have gone from taking your presence for granted to desperately yearning for your return. This is the moment where you wield the greatest power. The urge to pursue you may be intense, but it is crucial that you resist the temptation to respond. Allow them to experience the full weight of their desperation. Let them question whether you have moved on, whether you have found someone who appreciates you more fully. The more fervently they pursue, the more acutely they will recognize that they have lost control of the situation. They no longer hold the upper hand, and this realization drives them to the brink of despair. When they initiate the chase, it is essential that you remain steadfast in your silence. The instant you respond, the power dynamic shifts back in their favor. You have invested too much effort in reclaiming your worth to relinquish it now. Allow them to pursue you relentlessly, but refrain from rewarding their efforts with your attention. Silence becomes your most potent weapon in this scenario. Let them experience the frustration of desiring something that is now beyond their reach. Reflect on the energy you poured into the relationship, the sacrifices you willingly made. Their pursuit is a belated acknowledgement of your value. But remember, their intentions may not be entirely pure. They may be driven by ego, by a desire to regain control. Tread cautiously, prioritizing your own emotional well-being above all else. Inevitably, as they navigate the complex emotions triggered by your disappearance, they will experience a battle between relief and regret. Initially, upon your departure, they may experience a fleeting sense of relief. This is the initial sensation of freedom, the belief that they are finally liberated from the perceived constraints of the relationship. They may even convince themselves that they are better off without you. However, this so-called freedom is merely an illusion, exciting at first glance, but ultimately superficial and transient. They may venture out, socialize with friends, engage in casual dating, and for a brief period, they may believe that everything will be fine. But as soon as they find themselves alone, sitting in the quiet of their apartment or aimlessly scrolling through their phone, the creeping tendrils of regret begin to ensnare them. They begin to realize that this newfound freedom, devoid of your presence, is, in reality, a profound emptiness. The individuals they believed could replace you prove to be mere surface-level distractions. It is akin to drinking salt water when parched. It initially feels like a solution, but ultimately leaves them more dehydrated, more desperate, and more regretful. Moreover, in today's culture of casual encounters, individuals often operate under the assumption that moving on is as simple as finding a new partner. However, they soon discover that it is impossible to replace someone who offered emotional stability and a genuine connection with a quick fling or a meaningless hookup. This realization is what truly knocks them off balance. Allow them to revel in this illusory freedom. Refrain from rushing back into their lives the moment they begin to express regret. Let them languish in the empty space they believed would bring them so much joy. Remember that the initial relief they experience is temporary, while your absence will continue to haunt them in ways they never anticipated. Reflect upon the times you provided comfort, the times you offered unwavering support. The absence of these elements will be felt, magnified by the silence of your departure. They will realize that the laughter of strangers cannot fill the void left by your shared experiences. The realization that freedom is not synonymous with happiness will slowly dawn on them. Allow them to grapple with this truth, as it is a crucial step in their journey toward understanding the depth of what they have lost. As regret intensifies, desperation may lead them to engage in manipulative tactics, attempting to regain control of the situation. They may resort to playing games, deliberately acting distant to provoke jealousy or posting photos with other individuals to create the illusion of happiness without you. They might post cryptic status updates hinting at moving on or share carefully curated selfies that appear slightly forced. These are all transparent attempts to reel you back in, to make you question your decision and wonder about their current activities. However, the crucial point is that you are no longer a participant in their games. You have matured beyond such childish behavior and have lost all interest in their petty attempts to elicit a reaction. People often believe that manipulation through jealousy or playing hard to get will entice someone to chase after them. However, what happens when you have grown tired of chasing, when you have simply outgrown the game? They may unleash a barrage of tactics, subtle digs, passive-aggressive comments, exaggerated posts on social media. But none of it works because you refuse to grant them the attention they desperately crave. You are no longer engaging in their childish tactics. And that, in essence, is what drives them absolutely mad. When they are unable to provoke a reaction from you, they completely lose control. They are left floundering, grasping for something they can no longer manipulate. The best course of action is to simply ignore their cryptic posts and refrain from reacting to their carefully staged photos. Their manipulative tactics only succeed if you choose to participate. The moment you cease responding is the moment they realize they have lost their power over you. Reflect upon the emotional energy you previously invested in deciphering their mixed signals. The freedom from this mental burden is a reward in itself. Recognize their attempts at manipulation for what they are, desperate cries for attention. By refusing to engage, you reclaim your power and assert your emotional independence. You demonstrate that their games hold no sway over your well-being. This act of non-participation sends a clear message: you have moved on, and their attempts to control you are futile. One of the most powerful tools you wield in this situation is the crushing weight of silence. The absence of your words, your texts, and your presence speaks volumes, far exceeding the impact of any verbal exchange. It leaves them alone with their thoughts, and this is where the situation becomes particularly challenging for them. The silence is heavy, almost unbearable, causing them to question everything they thought they knew. They begin to reflect on the times they ignored your calls, the times they were too preoccupied to respond to your texts. Now, they would give anything to hear from you again. Silence is a form of torture for someone accustomed to having control. They anticipate that you will eventually reach out, that you will inquire about what is wrong, that you will beg for an explanation. But what happens when you defy their expectations? What happens when you vanish completely, leaving them to sit in silence, wondering if they have lost you forever? They struggle to comprehend the situation. Each minute that passes without a word from you feels like an eternity, and their anxiety escalates with each passing moment. In a society that values constant communication, instant gratification, and immediate responses, your silence is particularly jarring. They are accustomed to the constant hum of a relationship, the back-and-forth exchanges, even the arguments. But silence is deafening. Allow your silence to become your power. Refrain from breaking it, refrain from offering explanations. Let them experience the full weight of their actions through the absence of your words. They will soon realize that losing access to you is far more devastating than any argument you could have had. Reflect on the times your voice was silenced, your opinions dismissed. The absence of your perspective will create a void, a stark reminder of the value they failed to recognize. Your silence becomes a form of self-respect, a declaration that you will no longer tolerate being taken for granted. It is a powerful statement that resonates far beyond the realm of words. Let them grapple with the weight of your silence, as it will ultimately lead them to a deeper understanding of the consequences of their actions. Ultimately, the cumulative effect of your absence, the rejection, the void, the curiosity, the self-reflection, and the silence, culminates in the fear that brings them crawling back. This is the stage they never anticipated, the realization that they are genuinely afraid of losing you forever. For a significant period, they felt secure in your presence, assuming you would always be there, and taking your loyalty for granted. They believed you were the one who would remain steadfast, regardless of their actions. But now that you are gone, they are consumed by terror. The fear hits them harder than anything else they have experienced. They begin to contemplate the possibility that they have lost you for good, that you have moved on to someone who appreciates you more fully. The thought of you being with someone else, sharing laughter, creating memories, and building a life together, fills them with nausea. Their pride, their ego, and their desire to maintain a cool facade all crumble in the face of this overwhelming fear. The sole objective that now occupies their mind is getting you back. This fear compels them to engage in behaviors they previously swore they would never stoop to. They may reach out with heartfelt apologies, sending lengthy messages expressing their regret for not appreciating you when you were in their lives. They may even appear at your doorstep unannounced, desperately hoping for a second chance. Whatever actions they take, they are all motivated by one overriding emotion, the agonizing fear that they have lost you forever. However, the truth is that by the time they experience this fear, you have already moved on. You have discovered your inner strength, embraced your independence, and realized that you no longer need them to feel complete. Their fear is genuine, but it is ultimately too late. When they come crawling back, it is imperative that you resist the temptation to grant them a second chance simply because they are afraid. Allow them to face the consequences of their actions. You have already embarked on a new chapter of your life, and they must learn that you are not an option to be taken for granted. Reflect on the emotional turmoil you endured, the self-doubt you battled. Their fear is a validation of your worth, but it does not erase the past. You have earned the right to prioritize your own happiness, and you should not sacrifice that for someone who failed to appreciate you when you were present. Let their fears serve as a catalyst for their own growth, a reminder that actions have consequences, and that genuine appreciation should never be taken for granted. Finally, the culmination of this journey leads to the realization of emotional independence. This is where everything comes full circle, where you fully embrace your own strength and self-worth. When you disappear from someone's life, you are not merely walking away from them, you are embarking on a journey toward your own freedom, emotional clarity, and inner peace. In many relationships, individuals become so engrossed in pleasing their partner and seeking external validation that they neglect their own needs. They forget that they possess the power to make choices, to walk away from situations that no longer serve them, and to demand better for themselves. However, once you have vanished, once you have reclaimed your personal space, your perspective undergoes a profound transformation. You no longer crave their validation, and you cease caring about their opinions, feelings, and desires. You realize that your happiness is not contingent upon their presence, and this is the most liberating realization of all. This is the essence of emotional independence. And here's the remarkable aspect: they can sense this shift in you. They realize that you are not the same person they once knew. You are stronger, wiser, and more confident. They can perceive that you have outgrown them, that you no longer require their presence to feel complete. This is where the power dynamic shifts permanently. They remain trapped in their old patterns, while you have evolved and broken free from the cycle of validation. Their opinions and judgments now hold no significance for you. Embrace your emotional independence and resist the temptation to revert to old behaviors. Do not grant them the satisfaction of believing that they still exert control over your happiness. You have transcended that level of dependence, and that is your greatest victory. Reflect on the resilience you have cultivated, the boundaries you have established. Your emotional independence is a shield, protecting you from future manipulation and ensuring that you never again compromise your well-being for the sake of someone else's approval. It is a testament to your strength, a beacon guiding you toward a future filled with self-respect and genuine happiness. Therefore, the ultimate lesson is to cease providing individuals with the opportunity to take you for granted. Stop being the person who is always present, regardless of how poorly they treat you. The moment you choose to walk away, the moment you vanish from their lives, everything undergoes a dramatic transformation. You seize control of the narrative. They will experience regret, and they will realize that they have lost something irreplaceable. It's not about revenge, it's about self-respect. It's about recognizing your own inherent value and refusing to settle for anything less than genuine appreciation. In summary, the act of disappearing, while seemingly drastic, can be a powerful catalyst for change in relationships where you're consistently undervalued. It triggers a predictable sequence of emotional responses in the other person, from the initial sting of rejection to the eventual realization of your worth. By understanding these stages, you can navigate the situation with greater awareness and ultimately reclaim your power, fostering emotional independence and setting the stage for healthier, more fulfilling connections in the future. Remember, your worth is not determined by someone else's ability to see it, it's inherent and unwavering. Don't be afraid to walk away from situations that diminish your value. The silence that follows your departure may be deafening to them, but it will be filled with the sweet sound of self-respect for you. Your absence becomes a resounding message, a testament to your strength and a beacon guiding you toward a future where you are valued, respected, and truly appreciated. This journey, though challenging, is ultimately transformative, leading you to a deeper understanding of yourself and a greater appreciation for the power you possess to shape your own destiny.